What's up? You might notice my video looks a bit different. Like I said a few videos ago, I'm trying a few different color profile settings in camera, seeing how it looks. Today, we have a little plan. It is a picture I've been wanting to get for a while. Near my place is a park. You know what? I'm not gonna spoil it for you. Just go along for the ride. Alright, it is very bright up here because it's 85, but we're here on the parking garage. We're gonna do some photos here, and then we're gonna go to this building that my buddies know that we can get really cool pictures inside of it. So let's get this footage rolling. What's up, guys? Checking in here on top of this parking garage. Yo, what if you got here and I took a picture of you just chilling on the wall? I'm gonna frame you in between the bridge, and then I'm gonna get PNC behind you. Yeah, you see that like dip right there? Just sitting, like right here. But like, I have tried doing this 2 times. The first time, I wasn't recording on this. The second time, my capture stopped on my computer. The universe does not want me to show you guys how to edit smoke photos, and we're just showing it how wrong it is. This is the before, this is the after. This is how different it is whenever I did the 2 separate how-to edits. We're gonna reset this. No edit, no styles, no nothing. In Lightroom, they're called presets. In Capture One, they're called styles. Let's get into it. So first thing, you're gonna come here and you're gonna put this center dot in the tone curve, a dot on this 3rd line right here, and a dot on this 1st line. What we're gonna do is create an S curve. So it's gonna be very slight, kind of like that. I think it will be on your screen. We're gonna pull the shadows down a bit, and then we're gonna pull the highlights up a bit. We honestly might do it a bit more than normal. And then we're gonna come in, we're gonna do it to the red, green, and blue curves as well. So let's go ahead and do that. We've edited the tone curve, and hold on, let me bring the exposure up so you guys can see the difference that it's making. So this is the original one. Actually, let's not do that with the exposure because it just looks like garbage. Now you're gonna see that it's more contrasty now, but as we go through, focus here on the shadow, not the shadow, the smoke and the ground. That's where you can see the biggest difference already. It's looking better. Essentially messing with the tone curve and adding an S curve in all 3 channels, you're gonna create higher contrast, not just in the lights, but because of the red, green, and blues and the highlights and the shadows, you're creating more of a contrast with colors. With Fuji, it seems like I wash my shadows more than my highlights get blown out. So I'm gonna bring the exposure up just a bit, bring the highlights and the whites down, exposure up a bit more. You need to bring the shadows up. The blacks, leave about where they're at, bring the shadows up, not too much. And as you can see in Adam's face, he's very pink. So we're gonna come over here, we're gonna mess with this just a tiny bit. There, he looks better already. I think I'm gonna cool it off a bit more just because the smoke is purple. And if we cool it off a bit more, since purple is closer to the blue side than it is the yellow and the red side, it's gonna give us more range and more ability to manipulate and increase the pop of the smoke. Pull out, have the whole image. We're gonna decrease the contrast to about -2 because of the tone curve. I might introduce a little bit of clarity, not much, but about 12. What I like to do is increase a little bit of structure, introduce a little bit of structure, but since it's still a portrait, I'm not gonna go too hard with it. Maybe like 8, I think. So come over here. What you're gonna do is look at like the rocks and the smoke, and then you can see what the structure does. It's very, very slight. Let's zoom in more. So it's very pixelated, obviously. It defines the edges a bit more, and I like that. Now that we have the basics of the image done, just wait. Here you can see Adam's face is a bit blown out. If we take a tiny bit of the highlights back, we retain more in the sky and his face doesn't look as harsh. We're gonna bring the shadow up just a tiny bit more, and that's looking good. Now we're ready to mess with the colors. The first thing that I'm going to focus on is Adam's skin color. You know, sometimes whenever you're messing with the white balance, when you're focusing on the smoke, you know, it can look a little too red or it can look a little too muddy. So what I'm gonna do, I need to increase the brightness on my monitor. I'm gonna come into the oranges. I'm gonna increase the lightness just a tiny bit. Do the same with the reds. We're gonna shift the red more towards the orange, not a lot, but just a decent amount. Saturation, I don't think I want to increase much, maybe 0.8. With the oranges, you can see how much that this affects it. So we want to put it towards here at about 0.3. Saturation, I don't necessarily know if it needs to be more saturated because then he looks too orange, but if you desaturate it too much, he looks unnaturally pale and ghostly. So just leave the saturation where it's at and maybe shift it a tiny bit more. Because he's not this orange in real life. He's tan, but he's not orange. You're looking at this and it's looking purple, right? The quickest way to tell what colors are where in your image is completely desaturated. As you can see here, this smoke is now completely white. Resaturate, unsaturate, okay? And then come to the blue and say, oh, so maybe it's blue. You take this out. Yep, the other parts that the purple wasn't touching is blue. So what you're gonna do is come back into this, increase the saturation, shift this a tiny bit towards the blues. I don't want the lightness too much. I'm gonna increase it a bit more actually, because I really want that smoke to pop and be punchy. Don't want to shift it too much, but just enough to have that like slight change. The purple, which is the outline of the smoke, I want to increase it a lot more. Shift it a tiny bit more towards the blues, increase the lightness, it looks a lot better. So we're gonna look at the before and after so far. He's looking a little bit washed out, a little too orange. The smoke's not looking very good. It's a little flat, not really any, there's some contrast, but it's weird, it's muddied. With the edit so far, it's looking really nice. So before, after. It's a little too green, I think, so I'm gonna bring the tint a bit more towards there. The final thing you want to do whenever you're exporting for Instagram, you want to crop it to a 4:5 picture. What I like to do is I take the third line. Now this is just the rule of thirds, it's not the golden ratio. I take the rule of thirds, I put it right on the person's right eye. You want the center of their head to be the center of the image, and this, with his face being turned to me, it's right on this side of his nose. So I want that to be the center of the image. So I'm gonna bring it in just slightly. Before, after. Whenever you're exporting, I'll put it at 1350 at the height, and then the resolution of anywhere from 300 to 600. Because if it's too much, Instagram's still gonna downgrade the quality. Export, and you're good to go. It's always cool going out and taking new pictures and trying new ideas. I've done smoke photography before and it's always fun, but I hadn't done it in the city. So we waited for there to not be a breeze. You take it, you light it, you have him do a couple poses, and you edit it so it looks good. Simple. At 150 subscribers, I'm gonna be doing a special video. I'm planning some stuff out, but until then, I hope you guys keep creating, and I'll catch you on the flip side. Peace.